It's the beginning of 2025, and this year LEGO is back to the old tradition of releasing the new modular on January 1st. So just like previous years, I got up a little hungover, drove to the LEGO store in the morning, and waited in the line to get my coffee. So I was surveying my city, figuring out where I was going to make room for it, and I decided to do it onto the back corner by the window, sitting right up next to the jazz club and using the museum as the other back of the corner. I'm putting it this way because people can see it really well from the edge of my LEGO city, and people can also see it walking down the street looking through the window. I wanted to make the building a little bit taller too, so that it would be the height of the balconies that I added for the jazz club. So very quickly, before we get into the Tudor build, I just want to bring up a little bit of a preview for my next video, which is taking the bookshop and townhouse and then redesigning them into something completely new so that they show up better in the city. So more on that in the next video, but I'm saying that because I'm going to be taking a lot of the residential furniture that was in this build and putting them into my new story that I'm adding to the Tudor house. All three floors of the Tudor Corner look very different, so I decided I was going to add another of the middle section floors and make it pretty much the same, have the building go from the pub to the clock workshop to the first floor of a two-story townhouse and then to the second floor without changing the build all that much. The moment that the official images of this were released and videos on YouTube started being posted of speed builds, I went to work on my designing. So I looked at the speed build and followed it step by step to rebuild digitally the second story of the Tudor Corner. And I skipped a few pieces here and there because they weren't important to the additional story that I was adding. And I also didn't bother building the door section here because I'm not building a second story with the door. My second story is going to have a window instead, so that's what I put here. Then when I finished that, I duplicated it, changed the base so it would match the story below it now, and redesigned it so that the top of what the official second story is moved into the one that I made, and the bottom is changed to match a new top so that the two go flush together and nothing's protruding in areas where they shouldn't be because it wasn't originally designed to go above or below that particular layout. One of the big issues I noticed with the design, though, were the stairs where the door entering to each of the floor, the way the stairs were built, which I really liked and didn't want to change, the stairs kind of angled into the doorway a little bit too much. So I wanted to push the stairs back one stud so that there was less overlap of the two. All I had to do was put a 4x4 plate in place of what was that 3x3 wedge plate, and then only use one 3x3 wedge plate on top of it instead of two. And that just pushes everything out one more stud so I can add another bracket and then attach it to the edge with the light blue snot pieces. And I don't have them here right now because I'm just going to pull two from the clock shop and use them there instead. Another challenge I had when I was adding the story was how to do the windows, because the two windows on the side that the Tudor Corner uses for the second story, the tan windows, they have a mudguard piece in tan along the top of them that is not available yet. The first release of it is the Tudor Corner, so I therefore couldn't get that part off of Bricklink. So my solution to that, I decided to move those windows to the front and then put the windows that were on the front to the side, just swap them. I also took out one of the windows for the lower floor and put a door there because, as you can see in the Tudor Corner set, there is a little wedge balcony above the pub that you can't really access, so I wanted to add access to that. In doing this, I quickly realized another issue, which is that the windows on the side are only 6 studs wide, which is how these tan ones were originally built, and the ones in the front are 7 studs wide. So I played around for a while until I came up with a 7-stud redesign of those windows using the mudguard. I switched out the color of the bay window in the front from black to white because I already had 6 of those curved white window pieces, and I didn't want to buy 3 other black ones because at the Bricklin store I was using for the other pieces, they didn't have them in stock, so I just made those white and the trim around it black. I also added a chimney and or fireplace on both sides of the building where the blue part and the tan part meet up, so that the chimneys on the roof would logically make sense. And like I did with some of my other builds, adding a chimney is a great way to hide the shifting colors. I also took the window that was in the back by the stairs, and instead of just a plain window piece, I added a little bit of detail around it so that it would match kind of the other ones and give a little more texture to that third side of the build. So when I got home, I immediately got to work building the set. I started out exactly as the instructions said and built the entire first section. Putting that angled facade of the bar up was my favorite part of this section. It's always fun when there's a non-standard square build part to the set. So then I got off to the clock shop, and my biggest change in the clock shop, as you'll see, has to do with the walls by the stairs. So I'm intentionally doing the stair section first and making sure it fits that extra space I made for it, and then putting this wall up along the entire side so there's a little entryway into the clock shop, separating it from the residential part of the building. And now it's time for the difficult part of figuring out how I'm going to do these windows. What you're seeing here is my first attempt at building the windows. Later on, when I finished it and looked at everything all together, I changed some stuff out. And there we have the placement of the floor I already built. And then I built the top section initially as it was in the instructions. I didn't spend any time placing the furniture and whatnot because I knew it wasn't going to probably stay in this floor, because what I wanted to do with it was just kind of make it a hallway with a couple bedrooms and a bathroom. The obvious cool technique in the roof is how they made the diagonal pieces work. But in creating designs like this, when you're doing the sideway plate technique to create like up and down bars and walls, using the brackets to fill a non-standard gap is just something I never thought of before, and it's so obvious. And it's done a lot in this build. The thick line of dark tan that was added in between the current story and the new story by just following the directions as it was for both stories, it didn't look very good on the second story, and I had enough of the nugget pieces left over that I redid all of that and added another row of those pieces, and I also got rid of the lighter tan in between the windows on the side so that it was just the dark orange and nugget between the windows, and it looks a lot nicer that way. Here's a look at the final placement and a recap of each floor. So we got the bar at the bottom, and here's my little change of the clock shop and that door that's added to access the balcony, going up the stairs to the new floor, and there's more space under the stairs to get up here and open the door now. And here's the first floor of the living area. Lots of furniture added from that bookshop townhouse set. And this thing on the wall, which is, I think, the last remainder of that Queer Eye set that I just placed in a bunch of things I have. I widened the stairs a little bit, moved the entry to the hatch to get to the roof, and we got a little bedroom here. Through the bedroom is this bathroom. I kept that sink that was in the original set the same way, but just moved it to the bathroom. And then another bedroom here, which leads into that door to the little tiny balcony. And there it is from the inside, and here's a shot of what people will see when they walk down the street.